the recovery has to be efficient. Interestingly, the efficiency level is still yet to be identified, what is efficient and what is not. But then we need to consider the preservation, the restoration of the essential basic services and infrastructure. Again, the terminology of basic services differ from one country to the other. We do not, what not be critical here might not be there, or what is basic here might be very critical in others. Here are the definitions that I've been looking into from the literature review and the Bureau, the literature for around 172 publications over a 41 years period. I'm not going to go through the definitions, but I just want to highlight very quickly. Risk management, there was a lot of focus on critical infrastructure and building resilience. When we look into the hazards aspect, there was a lot of focus on how the economies gets to absorb that risk and in terms of the insurance industry. With climate change adaptation, there was also a good element that's focusing on basic structures, but then with the sustainability, there was which I think this is the core of our discussion for today, there was a lot of focus on the ability to tolerate, overcome the damage, the productivity and reduce quality of life from the extreme events without significant outside assistance. So there is a lot of emphasis that people build resilience within the communities from a bottom-up approach, not only from the policy level. From there, I started to look into the different hazards, what does it mean and how does it differ, but again, this can be applied everywhere, but differs when it comes into the MENA region and the regional actions that have been taken. So from the different measures or the different agreements that have been taken between the Arab states, each and every agreement here, or each and every milestone that have been achieved, some of them have been looking into very good targets, but unfortunately some of those targets have not been monitored, so that's why we did not really achieve the targets that we were looking for. Other targets were focusing a lot on elements of technology that were not, the cities themselves does not have the infrastructure on the data collection and analyzing and mapping for those elements, so that's why all of these agreements did not really achieve its targets. From there, I set up a comparison between what I earlier mentioned, the new and the old-term essentials. There is no significant change, but there was a lot of emphasis on the use of technology in order to assess risk and develop sustainable futures for cities. The research finding, what I have acknowledged from there, from those indicators, that this element of sustainability was missing. So once that element of sustainability is missing, that means that the Sendai framework cannot achieve its global targets alone. So building coherence between those global agreements, between Sendai, between the SDGs and the Habitat for New Urban Agenda is the key element. Here I'm just highlighting one of the targets for the SDG 11, which is focusing on reducing the losses, as I mentioned earlier. And here are some of the what we call the metadata, so that the processes in order to assess those risks and develop the indicators on it. And I'll just end up here by, these are exactly the definitions that I mentioned earlier around resilience. So risk management, hazards, resilience, and climate change adaptation. A very, very, very quick review on here because my time is finishing, but I would just say that it's evident from literature review that sustainable recovery from a natural hazard event ensures that existing risks are reduced and any new risks are managed. So the recovery cannot be just done by emergency, but it has to be a long term, because people who are displaced now are living for long terms in shelters, living in long terms in informal settlements that are not accommodating their needs. So there is a very, very huge, I would say, task that we need to take over, which is developing this coherence between the different measures and indicators between the global agendas in order to achieve sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Smart, for your very interesting presentation. I'm afraid that will consume over 15 minutes, but if anybody has any burning question, a quick question to Noha. Anybody? Question? Noha? Right. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Thanks very much for the presentation. I want to believe, since you said it's part of the PhD research work, beyond your literature reviews, I believe there are some levels of involvement of the member countries. These are the policy drivers, the actors of all these member countries within the general region. Can you give us practical case studies of anywhere you encountered flagrant resilience of any of these member countries regarding sustainable futures? In your interfacing with the policy drivers, the actors of any of these member countries,
Yes.
beyond literature reviews, have you encountered any?
I've been engaged with different, let's say, more of informal talks with city mayors and people who have, I would say, more of PRR stakeholders. So it can be the aid agencies, for example, the Red Cross Crescents or the UN Office for Disaster Destruction, who themselves have been developing those indicators, but also the city leaders and sometimes the civil defense, who are people on the ground. When a disaster happens, they are the first responders. The common element that they all have agreed upon is number one, the lack of collaboration between different agencies. So in these countries that we are speaking about, it's not what the challenges that we are facing now when a disaster happens. It's not due to the lack of the resources or the human capacities. When I say resources, not only the financial resources, because there's a lot of other technical elements. Some of these countries have got experts who are very knowledgeable of what to be done, but they do not how to do it. So when the data that they have, for example, on mapping flooding, is not shared between all the actors. So when a flood happens, they do not know who to contact and what to do with the data that is available. So it's the lack of coordination really that we need to start with before we implement.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the question. I should have introduced Mr. Mark before the start. I'm going to make a brief late introduction about the biography. Noha is a qualified architect, specialized urban planner, member of the British Royal Town Planning Institute, and currently a PhD researcher at London South Bank University, the School of the Built Environment and Architecture. She was appointed in 2014 as the Director of Urban Planning and Sustainable Development at the Arab Urban Development Institute in Saudi Arabia. Noah's research focused on the implementation of the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction in the context of climate change, conflict, and risks. Now, Dr. Hind Abdelmoner is going to give us a presentation. Dr. Hind is a consultant architectural engineer. She has a long experience, 23 years experience, with consultants, companies, and teaching in universities. She has completed her PhD research and awarded the degree from the College of Architecture, University of Khartoum in November 2017, recently. She has a Bachelor in Architectural Engineering, a Master's in Environmental Studies, and has a long experience in design projects. Please, Dr. Hind, please.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you for being in my session. Sustainable Eco-Neighborhood Assessment Methods, Residential Neighborhood in Greater Khartoum. Thank you also for National London South Bank and ASU, Dar al Uloom University, for being here. Introduction. The importance of sustainability has been recognized in 1992 at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, the Earth Summit held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The central aim was identifying the principles of action towards sustainable development. Agenda 21 on promoting sustainable human settlement development lays down that people should enjoy healthy, sustainable neighborhood to live and meet the global standards and meet their own needs. The researcher visited some of new neighborhoods and compounds for residents in Khartoum and noticed serious problems in the orientation of the buildings and services on this neighborhood, finding this solution still far away from the sustainable one. The situation was compared to one global projects like Masdar City in Abu Dhabi and Bitten Green projects in United Kingdom and Sibiano Green projects in United States of America. The paper investigates the present situation of ecological neighborhood in Greater Khartoum to assess whether they are sustainable ecological neighborhoods, and if so, to what extent the problem faced by them and positive solution can be afforded for them. Definitions of sustainable neighborhood. United States Green Building Council define neighborhood development thus: integrates the principles of smart growth, urbanism, and green building into the first national system for neighborhood design. This figure shows us simple definitions for sustainable neighborhood. We can see that the amount of input is equal to amount of output. The renewable resources and the goods, foods for the input, and for the output organic waste recycled, materials recycling, and minimize pollutant waste, and people can use the walkable streets to list their work. Yes. And this figure shows us the traditional definitions for the neighborhood with walking distance about 500 meters, and we can see the center for the neighborhood, and at this point the mixed-use center for fourth neighborhood at the same place. Theory of sustainable neighborhood. This design can show us that we can use a green roof, and we can facing pedestrian crossing and walkable street for the neighbors. At the center, available services, and we should give them a historical church or mosque should be available in the neighborhood, retail stores, and everyday activities. Sustainable cell. This neighborhood, it is near to a farm. For everyday food can be taken from the farm, so the waste can be dumped, and we have a natural recycling. The air, CO2 and oxygen and nitrogen can be easily be impacted and recycling for the environment. Focus in Khartoum city. Environmental factors. Khartoum faced 4 climates: rainy season, the autumn, with percentages perception 50 to 100 millimeters. In summer, the direction of the wind north-south direction, and the temperature in summer 40 to 50 degrees centigrade, and in winter from 10 to 25. Natural resources available in Khartoum. We have solar energy, wind energy, biomass energy, and geophysical energy, as well as hydroelectric energy. Political factors. Sudan has subscribed to several international agreements like Agenda 21 in 1992, and we have UN Habitat, UNEP, and United Nations Development Programme, UNFCCC. And also social factor. Early studies showed that Khartoum faced a serious environmental problems because of people migration from south to east and west of Sudan, and the migration it is increased double in the last 20 years. And this faced a serious problem in Khartoum services, in education, and hospitals, and other activities and services. The research methodology is studying of lead version 4 for neighborhood and development, BRIAM 2017, and we have 3 case studies in Khartoum city. The researchers added additional categories like environmental design process, health, safety, and emissions, and community participation. This figure shows the research main categories for neighborhood study. First, we can see the sustainable side, 30 points. Then we have neighborhood design and better, 39. We have also materials, 6 points, drainage system, 6 points, and water supply system, 4 points, power supply, 10 points, and environmental design process, 1 point. Emissions, 5 points. Comparing this by lead version 3, they have focused smart site, 27 points, and they have neighborhood design and pattern, 44, green infrastructure and buildings, 29, innovation in design and process, 6 points, regional priority, 4 points. What is the difference between the two systems? I give more details for power supply, water supply, drainage supply, and materials and resources, and emissions and safety. The system has a scale. This scale is ranged between 0, it means it is not applicable, +1 positive impacts, +2 more positive impacts, +3 the most positive impact. -1 it means that negative impact to the environment. Also the system has evaluation range, less than 40 it is weak result, between 35 to 44 it is pass, 45 to 59 it is good, from 60 to 75 it is very good result, above 76 it is excellent. Focus on the main principles, sustainable site, the total points are 30 points, and the main issues are smart. We can see here, this is the main issues. We have a smart location and controlling system, enhanced parking control, reduced automobile dependence, and this bicycle network, walkable streets, pollution control in construction activities, noise prevention, controlling natural water features, avoidance of the floodplain. Improvement of the outdoor environment, heat island effect, enhance of the landscape on site, public transportation access and maximize open space, and universal accessibility. Total points, it is 30 points. Neighborhood design, pattern and construction. We have 3 focus: design, neighborhood pattern and construction. On the design, certified green buildings, neighborhood strategies, affordable rental housing, building reuse and adaptive reuse, sustainable historical buildings, minimization of the site destruction through site design and site orientation, local food production. On the neighborhood pattern, we have diversity of housing type, access to active public space. And also we have street network and ecological footprint. On the construction, we have construction management, minimize of the site disruption during construction. Materials and resources, we have recycling content for the infrastructure, eco-building materials, eco-concrete and eco-recycling building material, enhanced proper technologies in building material. These photos, it is applied on Sudan. The machine it already used in Greater Khartoum and use this for the eco buildings in Greater Khartoum. Recycling materials also applied. Waste management system, we have ecological sanitation, service runoff, recycling of grey water, on-site sewage treatment. In Khartoum we use for 70% about septic tank and well, and 25% we have drainage net. Solid waste classification and recycling, construction waste management. These some solutions can be applied on the ecological neighborhood. We have a plant for water system, and we have service runoff, grey water recycling, and also we have waste management. Water supply system, efficient water supply system, conservation of rainwater, recycling of grey water, conservation of water consumption, on-site water treatment plant. And power supply, we have energy source. Usually in Khartoum, we have a national grid. The main source is hydroelectric power, and the application. During my PhD research, I found that I have only two case study over 48 case study apply solar system, solar heating and solar system. 100% of housing in Khartoum, we apply metering system, and we need to add metering system for water. Also, some projects, they apply natural lighting, and other they are not applying. Environmental plan process, we need to add a teaching value and learning environmental design process and focus in sustainability in Khartoum during design phase, construction phase, and maintenance phase. Safety and emission procedures, this was added by researchers, and we need to apply safety procedures for the housing sector and the neighborhood. Secure the land, fire alarm system, security, smoke detectors, low greenhouse emissions, solid waste management, and waste recycling. Community participation, this also was added by the researcher. In applying ecological neighborhood principles, we should involve the whole community sector, developers, agents, project manager, architects, planners, contractors, and owners by discussing the researches and knowledge transfer. The case study on the field work, we have 3 case studies. The residential villa facing the south bank of River Nile. This is the location. We have about 40 villas. 12 of them are facing north-south direction and 38 of them facing east-west direction. The second location is Arak City. It is near to Medani Street. We have 4 types of villa. Villa type A at this area, villa type B, and villa type D, villa type C. The neighborhood center, it is at the middle. And Nasr Apartments, all the compound is about apartments, and it is near to Afra Mall at Khartoum City. The location between the 3 neighborhoods, this is the residential villa, the Arak City here, and Nasr Apartment. The result between the 3 neighborhoods, this is the result in details, and this is the main principle of sustainable neighborhood, sustainable site, neighborhood design pattern, material, water, and waste management, power supply, health, safety and emissions, and community participation. Residential villa, Arak City, and Nasr Apartments, and this is the average result. The average result, it is record for Greater Khartoum. The sustainable site 30%, neighborhood design pattern and construction 40%, materials and resources 20%, waste management system 40%, water supply system 27%, power supply 20%, environmental design process it is 60%, emissions 33%, and community participation is 27%. Discussion of the result shows that the residential villa result is 38. We have positive point like design the site itself. There are plants and trees, parking control for the indoor environment. Most of the villas are oriented to the right direction. Outdoor thermal control for plantation and civic area, it is good. Provide high technology and wireless equipment and communication system. Water plant is available, and energy from the national grid. Negative point, we have building form, it is only linear form, and we have only one type for the whole site. This is the location for residential villa. Then we have Arak City. The good points show that efficiency in designing sustainable site and neighborhood center. We have most of the everyday activities. Negative point, inefficiency in building form, materials and resources, and the outdoor environment. It is not well planted, and we have several services are missing, like a club for youth and a shopping mall. This is the location for Arak City. Then we have a Nasr Apartment. The most positive point is the good design for building itself. Then the negative point that they don't have any trees and plantation on the site, and they don't have any club for the youth. The conclusion, residential villa 39, pass result, Arak City 29, it is weak result, and Nasr Apartment it is 59, and it's a good result. Recommendation, it is record for the neighborhood, sustainable neighborhood in Greater Khartoum. The study recommends managing sustainable site waste disposal, water supply system, power supply, and emissions applying from principle sustainable eco-neighborhood, management of power supply system, and the research recommends use of the local building material. The water supply system should be more efficient, and for the drainage system we have to make drainage net. The research recommends adopting such solution as shaft filters and for the kitchen, foil alarm system and smoke detectors and other safety procedures. Finally, we should apply the environmental design process for the whole design process. The research recommends applying of principle of eco-neighborhoods in Greater Khartoum. Acknowledgement, I should acknowledge ICSF staff and members, and also acknowledge Dar al Uloom University and my supervisor, Professor Salih Hassan, for his continuous and help.
Yes, please.
Going to just take the privilege and the bias of knowing the case studies that you have talked about. Is there anything that you highlighted on the formal construction, let's say, development that we have this time? But in terms of relating to sustainability, because we do also have more of informal, or I would say community-based elements of design and construction, especially that Khartoum is now more of a hub that is bringing migrants and intelligence-based population from all over Sudan, so we have a huge diversity of the background and the knowledge that the people bring in. So did your research, apart from the formal ones that we have, did you look into informal?
My design is focused sustainable neighborhood in Greater Khartoum. So I take only 3 neighborhoods on the Greater Khartoum and make a survey with the people living there to write what the main problems are facing on these compounds. And for residential villa, they're facing a problem of service runoff. And the site, it is a high equipment by the government for presidents of Africa for a specific conference at that time. After that, it was sold to investors of United Arab Emirates. Now it is just a compound and villas. And as you know that our people focus on the local building material. We have bricks, we have concrete hollow blocks. This is in Khartoum city. I didn't make any study on the other regions. Then the Arak city also, they have finished phase 1 of the project, and I recognize that several problems in building orientation. And they just have designed copy and paste. The design should be oriented here and there without any logic. I can see villa type D facing east-west direction. And also I can see the same villa facing north and south without any logic of design.
Right, thank you. You have a question? Can you please leave it until the lunch because I'm conscious of all the time.
Yes.
Thank you very much again for your...
Thank you very much.
Right. The third presenter, I believe that he's not here, or has he arrived, Dr. Ulusan Dusomo? Right, so we'll proceed with Mr. Ihab.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Ihab. Today we are going to talk about linking between sustainability development and facility management. As all of us, we know that building stock, the existing building stock has been an increase for the last few years very high. And when we come and discuss about the result, we have around 70% operational building running and handover and the end user they are using. That's why we have the facility management profession has been growing rapidly during the last few years. On the other hand, the sustainability development requirement has been increased due to the requirement of consumption and the future needs and the future generation. So, the aim of this study is to incorporate sustainable practices into FM to manage an existing building. And the specific object are to develop the sustainability framework that can be implemented in operational building. And that sustainability framework which is going to be implemented in the operational building going to be respect the 3 pillars of sustainability, which is the economy, society, and environment. Also, the unique of this study that to define the way to assess the existing building. All of us, we are focusing about a green regulation, a green building during the construction. But there is very few certificate focus about operational building or assessment for the operational building. That's why we are going today to highlight how much that's important and can improve our life for future generation. Again, sustainable facility management or we can say the facility management and sustainability development is very big topic. So this research not going to be focused on details about facility management or sustainability development, but going to discuss the relation and how we are going to integrate facility management with sustainability development. And the research has been built in the way that we are going to discuss it during the lectural review about what the definition and the scope of facility management, plus what the definition and the scope of sustainable development, and how we are going to integrate. On the other hand, we conduct questionnaire survey, and on that questionnaire survey, we have focus on define the baseline, where we are, what we have on existing building. We have building has been built since 20 years, 30 years with traditional way. So in order to convert that building to a green building, respecting all the sustainability pillar, we have to understand where we are and what our baseline in order to proceed or propose such kind of a framework. That's why I conduct questionnaire survey, and that questionnaire survey has been sent for 3 categories. Has been sent for owner representative, that's who can decide, yes, we can go ahead to convert the old building or the operational building to a green building. And we conduct also the survey through the facility management, the maintenance team who's operating the building, and finally we conduct a survey with end user, because we should be guarantee the comfort level will be not affected by implementing a new sustainability practice or technique or strategy. During the lectural review, we have made some kind of a study to understand in UAE what the impact of the building with energy consumption or electrical consumption. And we found 70% of the electrical consumption are consuming by the building, by construction building and operational building. And when we come and analyze that electricity consumption, where is it going? Going with the cooling system. So we decide to focus on cooling system as an area where you can improve a lot and can be reduce the energy consumption or the electrical consumption. Again, as I mentioned before, the number of existing buildings has been increased a lot during the last few years. And within the coming years, the number going to be almost double. That's why we are looking for some organization to take a lead and to make sure that operational building have to be green. There is a lot of buildings